Hey everyone, welcome to this week's conversation. Appreciate you tuning in, and I promise you're going to be glad you did. My guest tonight is an award-winning Harley riding rocker who's living proof that passion and persistence in pursuing your dreams pays off. Please welcome to the conversation, Ronda Ray. Hey Ronda, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, it is my pleasure, Rhonda. I'll tell you, with all that you've got going on, I really appreciate you taking the time to join me tonight. Your new single, which is out, is awesome. Your current tour, phenomenal. I'm looking forward to getting to all of that. But what I'd like to do first is maybe take a little trip. So, if we were to get on your Harley, put it in reverse, go back in time, can you take us back to when and where it was that your musical journey began?
Well, music was always part of the culture of our home growing up. I mean, from a very small town where, we would stand around the piano with my mom playing or my aunt playing, and we would sing songs. And, my aunt was in high school when I was little, so she was super cool. And I remember watching MTV with her and just rocking out to, you know, Fleetwood Mac, Foreigner, Boston, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, you name it. And just, her bed was the stage. And whatever I could get that was a pretend guitar, I was putting on shows all the time. And I started piano at age 6 and was always involved in school music growing up. But always wanted to play guitar and always wanted to play drums. And my mom always steered me away from that. And I didn't like the structure of all the school music stuff. And I walked away from it for a while. I dabbled with guitar here and there growing up, but I was an athlete too, and just, you just kind of float around from thing to thing,
Sure.
and it found me later. It found me in my mid 30s, and I started writing songs and picked up a guitar, and here we are today. Never dreamed that it would take me here.
Now, was there a particular like moment or event when you were at that point in your mid 30s when you said, you know what, I'm going for it?
I was really hesitant to think that I could write a song. I
Hmm.
was like, well, I could write poems, I could write poems. And then I went to Austin with a friend for a work trip one weekend, and she had to go to meetings. And so I went out to hear live music. And it was a really transformative weekend. I can't remember who I saw play,
Wow.
but I know I went to the Saxon pub and something changed in me that weekend, and I went home and wrote 3 songs. And I think all 3 of those songs are on my first EP. So that was kind of off to the races. And then I had a pretty happy, content life. I used to rodeo and train horses,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was working for my friend's ranch, and I was really happy doing that. And we got really slow that winter. And I thought, well, if I'm gonna have this experience, like going to an open mic, I should probably do it now because we're gonna get busy. And I went to an open mic, and then I went to another one, and somebody offered to pay me to be on another show. And once I got paid, I was like, the hustle was on because I am a hardwired entrepreneur. And so I started booking get my own gigs and going around playing, and
Wow.
I'm still booking my own gigs today. I'd love to not be doing it myself, but I can't find anybody that does a better job than me. So here we are.
Well, that's amazing. And it's as you're talking about some of those different aspects of your story, I'm thinking there were at least 2 or 3 moments in there that sound like one of those everything happens for a reason type of situations, whether it's going to the open mic, those opportunities coming up, but ultimately you still have to put the time and the work in to make it happen. And it sounds like you've got a pretty strong work ethic that you've just transferred over into the music industry.
Yes, I've always been this way. And my parents had very strong work ethics as well. And, it's all about integrity and keeping your word and doing it the right thing, the right way, because it's right when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised. And so The hustle was on after that. I think I got paid $25 the first time, and
Hey,
the
but that
hustle
still
was
makes you a
like,
professional, right? You got
I
paid.
know, right? Something clicked, and I was like, let's do this. Let's see if I can do this. Challenge accepted. I'll put it that way.
All right. So when you're first getting started and you get those first few years where you're out there doing it and you're handling all aspects of, a lot of veteran musicians and artists that I've talked to, they always say that they wish they would have known more about the business part of the music business early on. And when you're doing it all yourself, you have to kind of learn on the fly. But what would you say are some of the most important lessons that you learned kind of early on in your career?
The early part is in a lot of ways the best part because you don't know enough to know what all you need to be responsible
Hmm.
for all the time. So you have like, it was all about songwriting for me. Like, I had joy, so much joy came from just writing these songs and trying to get enough material together for a show and dreaming about recording something, and just even getting a gig was like, oh, this is amazing. But I think that and we all go through this, and it still goes through my mind today. I mean, you would think I would have this help at this point, but it's like we all dream of having that team that does
Yeah.
stuff for us. And I have a really good friend who's sponsored, been an angel investor for me for many years. And he was in the special forces. And
Hmm.
he has these banners in his garage that one says, expect to self rescue. And
Hmm.
the other one is, nobody is coming to save us. And I think you have to, as bad as you want the help, the things that have set me back the most, and nobody new wants to hear this,
Hmm.
the things that have set me back the most is trusting industry professionals. I'll put
Yeah.
air quotes around it because it's hard to say how professional they are if they're not really doing anything for you.
Yeah.
Um, but when I trusted those people to do their thing and I stopped doing my thing, I went backwards.
Hmm.
And you lose that year or two that you're with those people. I mean, I never stayed around that long because I had to keep rolling. I had to cut ties and keep rolling. But you lose a year and then you lose the next year trying to regain the ground you lost.
Sure.
So keeping it in house as long as you can is the way to go, because the industry's changed. There's no system for no big record company is doling out record deals. They're not doing
Hmm.
artist development like they used to do. That world doesn't exist anymore.
Hmm.
So you have to love doing it, and you have to be an entrepreneur. And if you're not a natural entrepreneur, then you learn those skills from the 8 million podcasts that are out there talking about that every day.
Yeah, I think there's at least 8 million of those talking about
So,
that
yeah,
for sure.
screaming
And
at us all the time, the
yeah,
people out there saying this is how you do it.
yeah. And what's amazing is as you're sharing that, Rhonda, I'm thinking, no one's going to care as much about you and your future and your work as you do. And a lot of times you'll learn that, like when you start trusting in other people, because no one's as invested in you as you are, number one. And number two, I've been blown away by the number of incredibly talented people that I've been blessed enough to have on the show over the years from all genres of music. And many of them are, some of them are actually in the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame, Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Some of them may be someday, but many of them don't have record deals anymore. They're putting out their own stuff, and some of them never had one. They're using social media, they're using whatever means they have. They're pounding the road day in and day out. So I just have so much respect for someone like you who not only is putting out great music, but doing all the other great work along with it. And you mentioned the word a few minutes ago. You said the word joy and how you took joy in songwriting. And that's something that I wanted to just touch on real quick because every video I've seen, whether it's a short reel or an interview that you've done, is either uplifting, inspirational, fun, or all of the above. So, where does that positive spirit in you come from?
I think a lot from my family and my parents and just the era that I grew up in. I'm an 80s and 90s kid, and I grew up listening to songs like, I always reference like Poison, don't need nothing but a
Yeah.
good time, and even go back to, like, I loved the Beatles, were probably my first love. All you need is love. Dun, da, 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 da. Like, these type of songs were just like, they were fun, and they were, I mean, I love, listen to Ozzy Osbourne lyrics. And it's like, we label him as this crazy guy. And I honestly have not done a deep enough dive to know which songs he wrote or not. But it's like, these are great songs. Like,
Yes.
it's just who I am. And I love serving people. I love
Mm.
encouraging people. I love giving people hope and inspiring people. And I do, even, it's a weird job because it's all about you 24/7, especially when you do all the business yourself like I do.
Yeah.
But once I get on that stage or once I hit record, it's not about me anymore at all. It's
Mm.
about serving people with these songs and with every word and action that I take.
Well, and I think, Rhonda, that really comes through. I'm going to jump ahead and then jump back again, but I need to pivot into something that you just made me think of as you're talking about that, and that's your latest single, The Thrill, because that really uplifts people, gives people hope. I mean, right there in your latest single, which, folks, it's available. I believe it was released October 10th, so
Yeah.
it's been out for a couple weeks. And I have to say real quick before I ask you about the song, first time I heard it, I downloaded it and added it to my workout playlist. And at 6 a.m. in the morning, when you need a little kick in the butt to get going, you crank up The Thrill and it is on. So thank you for that. It's better than a big cup of
Yes.
coffee.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You just made my day for sure.
Well, I'm happy to do it because you make my morning in the morning when I'm, having trouble getting up. So, what's the story behind that song?
Well, I think whether you're talking about the music business or life in general or the world or whatever, it's like at some point you have to go, who the heck is making the rules for who I'm supposed to be in society? It's like social media and the internet erased so much of what is common and acceptable,
Mm.
and it just, I feel like it just backfired on us so much. We were sold that it was going to connect us, and all it's done is divide us. All it's done is create so much supply that uh good music can't get out there, and there's just so
Wow.
much coming at us constantly that it's like I like with social media, for example, I recently just went, well, I don't think any strategy matters. So every time I think of something, I'm just gonna put it out there like crazy. Like, I don't care. And I've never been able to follow the rules, but I'm not a reckless person. I live with a lot of purpose and intention, but I've always questioned and I've always been outside the box. And I just think I've seen this meme before where on one side there's a sad face stick figure and it says, "Oh, nothing matters." And on the other side, there's a smiley face stick figure that says, "Yay, nothing matters." And it's almost like when you break free of the what you think is expected of you, and you just start making your own rules in a intentional, purposeful way that serves humanity
Yeah.
and helps society, oh, well, you get a lot more peaceful, you get your joy back, and you just start living your dream. And
Yeah.
that's really what the thrill is all about. We all need to blow off some steam in the pressure cooker of life that we're all living in. $100 bill is not going as far as it used to at all. And it's just kind of like, I just am not, who's making the rules? I'm going for it. This is my life. I've got one life to live, and nobody's getting out of here alive, so we better be living
Yeah.
our dreams, and we better at least be mindful of our priorities and what matters the most.
And folks, for those of you watching, and I hope everyone is, I would like to ask you to rewind about 90 seconds into what Rhonda's been saying and play it over again and save it on a loop and listen to it on a daily basis because those are words of wisdom that I think we could all benefit from. And obviously, the inspiration for that great song, The Thrill, Rhonda. So I appreciate you sharing all those words of wisdom. And I have to say one other thing, too, because this really impressed me in looking back at your bio. And there's an organization who's recognizes independent artists. And being nominated for a Josie Award is quite an accomplishment. Winning one is absolutely amazing. And in 2023, they named you Best Rock Artist. So, what was that experience like? Because that is an incredible accomplishment. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. That was an awesome experience. I was nominated for three and I won that one. And in my mind, I thought if I could win one, I would want to win Best Rock Artist. And one of the things I'm most proud about that is because that was male and female together. That wasn't just female, that was male and female. And I've had to fight hard for my brand, coming out of Texas for so long. It, people just don't want girls to be rock and roll. They're comfortable with you being country or Americana or even blues. But if you're just, and I have said, I'm going to die on this hill for rock and roll. And I have fought to have my music produced and played the way that I want it. And it kind of took going out to LA to kind of break free from some of that. But yeah, winning that Josie Award at the Grand Ole Opry was cool. My family got to be there, and they miss out on a lot of my stuff, and I miss out on a lot of their stuff. So it was super special. And who knows? Maybe I'll submit the Thrill for the next Josie Awards.
Well, there you go. Because, like I said, it is in today's world, and we kind of talked about it earlier with so many artists having to go the independent route, that just increases the competition for those awards exponentially. So to me, that makes it even a more incredible accomplishment to have done that in 2023. And I have no doubt, whether it's the Thrill or anything else you come out with in the future, there's more Josies that are going to be on your shelf in the not too distant future. So you definitely need to submit that and make sure you tell them that song gets me going on the bench press machine every Monday and Thursday morning at the gym at 6:15 a.m. They need to know that.
Awesome. And another thing I really respect about them is they have an independent board that votes. A
Yeah,
lot of places have gone to fan voting, and it's so easy to rig that. You can
yeah.
just pay a programmer to buy 10,000 or whatever votes at a time. And I will never push fan voting again. I'll be grateful to be nominated and say it once. But I've seen that happen with some other stuff where, I don't like that. Like, there's not much left that's fair in the world, but I appreciate the Josies for having that independent board that votes.
Yeah. No, that's a great point because especially with social media and bots and all this stuff, anything that's left up to the masses like that, you have no idea who the real winner is. It's going to be whoever has the most bots or the most bought votes or whatever. Yeah, there you go. Is definitely going to steer that. So another aspect that I wanted to just jump into real quick with regard to your current tour, the Thrill Tour, is, I mean, you've been working hard, going out on the road, bringing your music to fans across the country for a long time. So what can you tell us about this current tour and what can people expect to see when they come out to see you take the stage?
Well, this tour is feels like I'm on a mission, like I haven't been on in a long time. Um, I'm super excited to be playing a lot of acoustic gigs. And then November 1st, we have our only full band show on this tour. Well, we have one pending in Nashville, but that's not official yet.
Okay.
are confirmed. It's happening November 1st, full band at a great venue called the Third Rail in Grapevine, Texas. So Ronda Ray in the Rumble. It's a beautiful venue, and there just is some magic happening between me and my guitarist, who I mentioned to you is from Philly,
Oh
Bobby
yeah.
Wooditis. He's known as Bobby Wood, and talk about exponential joy playing with that guy and what he brings to my show. And then reuniting with a rhythm section that I've played with a bunch in Texas, Ryan Martin and John Pierce. And man, it's just like, I just finally have musicians around me that allow me to soar, who
Wow.
eliminate stress, who come with the right attitude. And so I'm super excited about that show in particular.
Yeah, and there was actually another recent show where I believe was a full band show at a pretty well-known venue where you opened up for somebody that some people may have heard of, Lita Ford. So what was that night like?
The best night of my life. I mean, back to what we were talking about before. I've had two different managers promise me opening for her. Like we're talking telling me shows were confirmed
Oof.
level of promise, and it never was. And so, a couple years ago, I drove out to LA really not knowing what would happen and made it happen myself.
Hmm.
And, just a lot. I had a blast in LA building relationships and just being in the mix. It's such a fun place to network. And all I did was show up and be myself. And I just had an amazing experience out there. We also got to open for Stephen Piercy of Rat
Oh yeah.
out there. And we got to open for a New York City band called Spread Eagle. And so, but the Lita Ford's my hero, one of my
Hmm.
biggest heroes. And I was so emotional and just wanted to do the best job. And I really feel like performance wise, vocally, my just everything that had been going on, that was like a peak moment just for me personally to do a good job on that show. And her band are awesome guys, and Lita showed us why she is the queen of metal. She was outstanding, and when she was playing, I was just sitting there crying because it just meant
Wow.
so much to me. That's the first time I'd seen her live. And so it was, I had to try really hard to take it all in because I felt like it went by like that.
Oh yeah.
So it was just awesome.
That is phenomenal. And you know it's funny, I've read in several places where when people describe you, it's often mentioned it's Joan Jett meets Lita Ford. And I think we're on the cusp of, with all due respect to Joan and Lita, because they're legends, but Ronda Ray can stand on her own. And I think you're proving that every day. And there's, again, the comparisons are nice, but at some point, someday soon, it's going to be somebody new meets Ronda Ray. That's what they're going to be saying about you. I have no doubt. And you just touched on something that I think is another aspect of your artistry that I just want to talk about real quick, and that's your voice and your vocals. How do you keep your voice in shape? Because you're out there working so hard, just giving it everything you have. How do you keep that voice in shape?
I'm really glad you asked because I love talking about this. I have a vocal coach, and
Okay.
she's the greatest vocal coach on earth. She's known as the voice doctor. Her name is Asunta Fleming, and
Huh.
her company or her business is called the Voice Studio LA Nashville. And she has transformed my voice. Like, I mean, it was good before. I won the Josie Award before I met her, but she has taken me into the stratosphere. I can't even take credit for it. Yes, I
Wow.
show up. Yes, I do the work. I do what she says. I work with her every week. But she has taught me so much about how my voice works, why it works the way it does, how to maintain it. how to open it up when she's not there. Like she doesn't just give you a fish, she teaches you how to fish.
Wow.
She's so extraordinary and she's the best person. She doesn't even advertise. She never has. It's speech level singing. And she was trained by Seth Riggs. If anybody knows that world, they know a lot of people know Seth Riggs. And she's just phenomenal. And thank you, Asunta. And thank you for asking because I love to brag on her. And yeah,
No,
she's
that's and I think it's great of you to give that credit because, like you said, you are putting in the work, but it's again, everything happens for a reason, and having her there to help take you to that next level couldn't have come at a better time. And I think that's something that I've had some not that long ago. One of my all-time heroes, Mark Farner from Grand Funk. And
oh
here's
yeah.
Mark in his mid 70s, still hitting those high notes in the Locomotion and all the other great songs. And he does things every day, still takes care of his voice. And there's so many others that, back in those days, back in the 70s, 80s, where they've got to lower the keys so much. Like sometimes the songs are almost unrecognizable. So when you keep your voice in shape and you do the right things, you can be pleasing fans for decades to come.
Yeah, I think you should only get better. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a big Melissa Etheridge fan. I met her in LA and I knew she would be nice. Like, it's not that I just would approach anybody. I'm not like a fangirl, but it was in a Norman's Rare Guitars and I just knew she would be cool. And I said hi to her and I told her, I said, you just keep getting better. And she looked at me like, thank you. Like
Wow.
she was so nice, but she just keeps getting better. She's writing better songs. She sings great. Lita sounded great. Chrissy Hines sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just those are my heroes, that longevity. And that's the difference between being a performer and an artist as well, which I feel bad for the young generation that grew up with the internet and the Kardashians and the quick route to fame because that's serving yourself. The
Yeah.
artist serves humanity, and it's a lifelong process of who you're becoming as much as it is or more than what it is about what you're doing. It's who you're
Yeah.
becoming to have those experiences, to write those songs and put those things out to the world.
And it may take a little longer than some of those people that, strike it big on social media because they put out some TikTok video. But in the end, you're better for it and you really are doing a service for people. And that is what contributes to the longevity and people over time, not only do they gravitate to that, but they stick. And I'd be willing to bet as you keep going back and kind of circling back to places you've been before and then adding new places to the calendar, you're going to see repeat fans. You're going to see people coming back. You're going to be recognizing faces and more people singing along with your songs. Those things are going to happen because of how you do what you do. And I think that's going to carry you even farther, a lot farther than where you've gone thus far. Now, I have two last questions for you, Rhonda. One kind of looks back and the other kind of looks forward. So, the first one, looking back, and I'd love to get your perspective on this based on what we talked about so far. If you look back at everything you've done since you made that decision to go to those open mics and start writing songs, all the way up until today, where you're in the middle of your tour, what are you most proud of?
I'm really proud of the fact that I just never quit.
Hmm.
I'm really proud that I stayed original, um, and stayed really true to myself, which was always advice that my mom gave me. Be true to
Hmm.
God and be true to yourself, and it'll all work out. Those two things I think are the things I'm most proud of. Um, and it's not saying anything against anyone that's pivoted and became a tribute artist or done these other things. That's fine. If you're being true to yourself and that's your path, whatever,
Yeah.
then good for you. But it's two different things. Let's not pretend that those are the same thing because they're not. So staying original and never quitting and staying true to myself.
No, I can definitely understand that. And it is not easy. It is definitely not easy, but I do believe it's worth it. So I appreciate that. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a look in the other direction. Let's look forward a little bit. What would you say the ultimate definition of success would be for you as an artist?
Well, I've always defined success as the pursuit of a worthwhile goal.
Hmm.
So as long as the pursuit still feels worthwhile, then I continue. And I don't think there's another person on earth except maybe some Buddhist monk or something somewhere that searches their soul about their true purpose as much as I do, at least yearly, and probably about half of this year. I've done a lot of soul searching about it, and I still think that the pursuit is worthwhile, even if the sounds that come out only affect on like some spiritual or metaphysical or quantum physics plane that I can't even understand. I think it's still important for the artists to create the art that they're meant to create. There's so much that you can't control, but if you get your head out of that this is an impossible business, it is impossible to scale unless you are if you are a original front person like me and you're not wealthy, it is almost impossible to scale. Like come to terms with everything about it and the limitations and what is the worst case scenario that will happen to me if I continue this path? Can I live with it? And if that answer is yes, and if it still seems like the pursuit is worthwhile, then I just keep going. So I keep going.
Man, that is amazing. I'll tell you, one of the things I enjoy most about having these conversations, Rhonda, is just really getting to know the person, the person behind the music and just who the people are. And this has been a conversation I'll tell you I'm never going to forget. And I also think there's a lot of life lessons in here. So again, people just I appreciate you watching. You got to go back and rewind and play some of Rhonda's words over again because I know I'm going to. And I also have to admit that I think I lied when I said there was only two more questions. I do have one more, and this one got to have a little bit of fun before we wrap up because I know I was looking at some merch on your website because I'm going to order something, and I just have to know what do I have to do to become a member of the Party Time crew?
The Party Time Crew is my group on Facebook. It's a private group, so you just have to answer a few questions to request to join.
Okay.
They're really easy questions, but we just want to keep that a reasonable space. And that's it. I started that during COVID in 2020 when I was just desperately trying to stay connected to people. And so I try to post things there that I don't post everywhere else, kind
Hmm.
of do some exclusive things. It's a place where I feel safe being a little more vulnerable. And yeah, we've got a good group there.
No, I could tell, and I saw there was even some T-shirts and things, Party Time Crew T-shirts and merch on the website, and I think that's phenomenal. And I think that you're going to just by who you are and the way you do things, you're going to attract great people, I think, in that group. And I'm going to have to look into becoming a part of that too. I think I can answer a few questions. So usually I'm asking the questions, so it'd be good for me to get to answer some questions. That'll
There
be
you
fun.
go. I'd love to have you, definitely. I'd love to grow that group. I feel like the majority of the people in it are fans from like Texas and the South and the Midwest, and I'd love to spread that out a little bit. So we'd love
Well,
to.
and that's something I'm going to end with, Rhonda, because I know I looked at your tour. I always check out where you're going, and I know you're down south, west, southwest, a lot of great places down there. But at some point, I'm going to keep my eye open for when you come anywhere near the Northeast, anywhere that's drivable, and I'm going to be there front and center, rocking out, enjoying the show. So I hope you make it up this way sometime soon.
I would definitely love to. There's no place that I don't want to go. I want to go everywhere. I want to get to play for everybody. encourage people and lift as many people up as I can.
Well, there you go. I can't think of anything better than that. And I can't think of anything more successful than that. And you're helping other people be successful as well. So, Rhonda, thank you so much. I've enjoyed getting to know you. This has been a blast. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule on the road to join me. I wish you nothing but the best with the new single, with the tour. And again, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You got it. And folks, thank you for tuning in. Couldn't do it without you. We'll see you next time. This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty & Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.